Ever think you're not smart enough to know everything? Some of these topics are really tough. We struggle with them currently, and if we struggle with them long enough, one day we'll be smart enough.
Hi, welcome to the Smart Enough podcast. I'm your host, Vandy.
And I'm Dani, and we have the handsome AJ with us on the one. You should see his hair. It's
I
just
wish you guys
beautiful.
could see his beautiful locks.
Mike, I walked in the door and I was just like, oh my goodness. Who is that?
Pantene Pro-V is missing out on a potential model.
Yeah.
But the listeners, whatever they imagine is already way better than the actual thing. So it's
No. I'm here to disagree. Listeners, it's far superior than anything you could possibly imagine.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but I appreciate it. You guys can always give me like best ego boost.
Hey.
Magic Mike in here. All right.
Anyway, so we are a weekly podcast designed to engage and inspire deep and critical thinkers to participate in constructive conversation and to bring some more compassion and hopefully a few laughs to public discourse. And while we may not be smart enough to know everything,
We're smart enough to have a conversation.
our topic today is offending people or getting offended. We have some critical thinking questions. Have you ever offended anyone before?
Absolutely.
What is the role and function of getting offended or offending others? Let's see. Has there been a time when you've offended someone and didn't care? I've got my questions on the ground here. What offends you, and how do you feel about people who offend you? And what has been your reaction when you've offended someone? So, like when you've offended someone else. This is the start of season 2, I should say.
Yeah.
Dani is some sad news, but also some wonderful news. Dani has been accepted into medical school.
Yeah. Woot.
I'm still not convinced it's a real school. I can't believe someone let you in and someone accepted you, but also I totally can.
Yeah, they don't. They don't know what they've done.
Yeah.
They have no idea. But it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for you. But it also does mean that this will come to an end. So this season 2, I was like, we said in the last season that we were coming back. So I was like, we have to come back.
At least one.
At least one. So this
This is the season 2.
This is season
one
2.
episode
No.
the finale. This is the finale.
No, it's not. We've got at least 4 or 5 more.
He's gonna pull me.
I'm getting everything I can out of you before you leave.
I know.
And I'm soaking up every minute of it.
I was driving here eating. My roommate made pasta, meatballs, and spinach. I'm driving, eating, trying to watch the NBA finals, and saying I'm going to get Alex. Like, I love you.
I love you.
I could have crashed.
Well, please don't do that. Please don't do that. We only want safe driving. We only want to inspire safe driving. So, Danielle, you immediately seem to
Have offended someone.
Offended someone. When did you? I totally believe that you offended someone.
Oh, really?
Yes. Just accidentally.
Yeah,
and,
I think more so accidentally. I offend people with my jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
What was a joke? Are
Mm,
you? Oh, don't tell it.
yeah.
Oh, you want to tell it?
No, I don't have one to tell right now.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Well,
I know
and it's funny that you say you've offended people with jokes, because one of the reasons why this topic is relevant is because recently with Kathy Griffin and her, and she's offended a ton of people, and Bill Maher, another comedian, has also offended a lot of people, and Stephen Colbert has also offended a lot of people. And so it does seem like with comedy, offending people kind of comes with the territory in a sense. And what do we do with that? How does it motivate people? How does it stop people or bring people down? We have someone who based his entire campaign off of offending people and is now in the White House. So it's clearly not something that stops your progress or your success. It certainly can. But yeah.
Well, I think as a comedian, Right. No, I think comedians or people that are, talented know that limit. Like they know. Hopefully, they know where to stop, because I think you don't just because you can get a good joke off doesn't necessarily mean it's appropriate. So I think you kind of lose your power, your message if you do go overboard all the time.
But I think it's about pushing the limit.
Yeah, you push
I think
it,
comedy
but you
is
don't go
really
over.
pushing. I think sometimes
I think
you
Bill
do.
Maher went over.
Yeah, sometimes you do.
Yeah.
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 I also think Kathy Griffin went over.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh, you don't?
I don't know. I mean, because I never saw the picture, right?
You never saw it.
No.
How?
Listen.
Because you're not on the internet.
No.
That's what it is. I was like,
On the
I forget,
entire internet, I'm not on it.
I forget that Mabel is just not on the internet.
I was on Instagram and I saw a picture of Melania, her son, and then Trump, and they were walking down steps, and then I saw, I guess, a quote from Kathy, right? And then I was just like, oh, is this the bad picture? And I was like, this can't be, like, this can't be in it. But then I heard that it was a picture of Trump with his head cut off. Is that what it was?
Which
I,
by the way, apparently it's not a decapitated. I mean, whatever. It looks like a decapitated photo, even though I don't think that was the intent of it. It's supposed to be that he's bleeding from everywhere. A play off of what he said to Megyn Kelly is the explanation that was given.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have a complete bias. I'm really not bothered completely by that. Although, if it was President Obama's head cut off, I probably would have some type of strong feeling towards it.
Well, and that's what a friend of mine was kind of saying is like, lots of people did that to Obama, to Obama, and there were tons of people in the South and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but no celebrity did it. Not someone that was like that there were a ton of ignorant idiots doing that to Obama.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I think that if a celebrity had done that, there would also be a huge backlash,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It could have been.
Right. I actually, this topic does make me very nervous.
Why?
Because I don't enjoy offending other people.
Yeah.
And, it's something I'm very careful about. And I think some would say too careful, kind of when I was thinking about the questions, there's certain people who I don't care if I offend. And then there are people who I do care if I offend. The people who I don't care if I offend are the people who have suppressed or oppressed me my whole life. So I don't care about I don't care as much about offending straight people or Christians or, that sort of thing, because there's literally a religion built that demonizes me, and says I'm going to hell and I'm going to rot and burn in fire, so like I don't have as much sympathy, towards that group of people. But then I do care about offending minorities or transgender people or, those groups. And I have offended those groups. I've offended, all the groups that I care about and the groups that I don't care about. And it's a very interesting experience when you've offended people that you care about.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the questions that I brought up is how do you react when you've offended other people? And one of my emotions that I've experienced is anger, and being like, how could you think that I'm attacking you? I'm on your side, and like, why don't you know that I'm a good person? And me offending other people and understanding and kind of looking at my reaction has made me kind of understand more about how white fragility works. And when I am talking to people who I do consider racist or more racist than me, not saying that I'm racist, but also saying that there are a lot of things about race that I don't understand. It helps me kind of figure out like where they're at. You know what I mean? What do you think?
I hear you.
Yeah, go ahead. Spill it. Lay into me. Lay
No.
into me.
No, I hear you. I mean, I think I become defensive, right? When I
Uh-huh.
feel like someone I care about thinks that I've offended them, right? Because that's never the goal.
Right.
And I never want to make someone that I care about feel less than or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that's where I am. That's how I wanted to respond. It's just like I do become defensive, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Also I think the defense comes from being misinterpreted, right?
Mhm.
Because if I said something that I was not trying to be offensive, right?
Right.
Now I'm upset because
Right.
it's like, no, that's not how I said it. You know, like I didn't.
Right.
So
It's that classic, like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but
Yeah.
that's not how I meant
that's
it.
not how I meant
You know, which is the worst apology in the entire
It's not
world.
an apology.
Well, it's not an apology. It's basically saying you are responsible for the way
How
that
you
you
feel.
feel
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
and I am not owning any part of that.
Yeah.
And then that hurts them even more.
Mhm.
You know, when you say that. But
you
like,
dismiss their feelings,
right.
Yeah.
like when I was like 22 or whatever, and you know, I wrote that article that I told you about
Yeah.
like a long time ago about homophobia in the Black community. I originally had included how racist I also felt the gay community was.
Mhm.
You know, that was originally in the first draft. I had like a huge section devoted to that, and that was someone read it and was like, "This feels off topic," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I took it out, and I totally regret doing that,
Taking it off, yeah.
taking it out, because I wanted people to know that I am aware of. I mean, Grindr is like, when I was on it, I was like, I can't believe the things that people say on here.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Just like the things that people are outwardly saying and not.
And what I'm not on Grindr.
You're not?
So I don't know quite what you mean, like as far as descriptions are going, as far as like what people are interested in.
Yes.
Okay.
That, and also just, I mean, in terms of what the experiences that my Black gay friends and all of that, what they share with me is also horrifying. And also what my fat friends share with me is also horrifying, because it's like, which is a whole other thing. But anyways, and something I was trying to get to, and I don't know how this came up in the original article, but I talk about how the Black community has been disenfranchised from a lot of resources, and I forget how it manifested itself again. But then in a lot of the responses, people were like, "You think Black people are dumb, too stupid and dumb to understand the message."
This is in response to your article.
To my article.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "Oh, that's not what I meant at all."
Yeah.
You know, that I was, and then they also in their response talked about the disenfranchisement, and I was like, "That's what I meant." You know, like, but it was too late. You know, the internet had taken hold and had become a monster all on its own.
Yeah.
And it was hell. You know, like I hated, and again, to white fragility, I was like, part of me was like, "Oh, I'm so fragile that like this is really upsetting me." You know, I'm just like, I can't. And a friend of mine was like, "Oh, what did you expect?"
Yeah.
Like, of course people are going to be mad.
I was going to say, you're always going to get the naysayers and the critics, you know, like, and so I think the point is, you know, to share your message and hopefully somebody understands what you're saying, right? And then you're looking for that one person to respond to you.
Right.
But besides that, you know.
But I mean, and there were people who saw my point or whatever in the Black community as well.
Yeah.
But of course the negative outweighs the
Yeah.
you know, like when you're
In every
especially being
situation.
so young, I was like, I didn't know how to handle it. I was unemployed. You know, like I was looking for a job, and you know, I didn't know how to cope with it. And so when I see someone like Kathy Griffin, who is like, you know, she gave that press conference and she's clearly like struggling mentally with the wave of hatred towards her, you know?
So when they told you that they were offended, you became defensive, or?
I was defensive at first because I was like, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. You know, I kept like trying to respond and like, you know, to every criticism.
Right.
And my friend was like, just stop. Just stop. Like, listen. Just
Yeah.
listen. And so that's really kind of what I did is I stopped, I listened, and I was like, oh, there's something here that I clearly don't understand.
Yeah.
And I used it to motivate me. And this was before Ferguson. This had happened before Ferguson and before a lot of it seemed to happen like so frequently, the shootings of young men in the streets and by cops. And so for me, I had the opportunity whenever an article about white fragility or whatever it was came out, I was like, I have to read this. I used it to kind of motivate me to be like, okay, this is something I need to understand more. I'm not understanding it. But when I was first offended,
Introduced to white fragility?
when I was first like being attacked,
Okay.
I was like, how could you guys think this about me? You know, like I'm a good person. And it's a reaction that I now see in a lot of people when I call them on their shit. And when I say that they are offending me.
Yeah.
And they say, how could you say that about me? I'm a good person. You should know that. And so now I recognize how the good person idea operates in people because I've felt it myself. And so it's kind of being able to say, I understand you're a good person. And as a good person, I want you to listen to this.
Yeah.
And I want you to understand this. And
I'm not necessarily attacking your character or who you are, right? But I just want you to maybe reshape or refocus kind of some of the ways that you approach or think about a situation.
But when you call someone a racist, when you call a white person a racist, they think, oh my gosh, you think I'm in the KKK.
Yeah.
And that is an attack on their character.
Yeah.
And that's what they think.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of what I've read in the aftermath of that was about the nuances of racism and like the shades of it.
Yeah.
And
it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot. And like we almost need more words for it, you know, like not to protect but just like, you know, so people are understanding what exactly it is that you're telling them.
When you say that they're racist.
When you say that they're racist or that you're not necessarily saying like, hey, I think you're in the KKK, but hey, you know, these ideas are operating within you. You're aware of the imbalance and yet you're perpetuating certain ideas.
Yeah, I think at the base of it, people don't like to be wrong. They don't like to be told they're not a good person, that they have bad intentions, that, you know, so it's just, I think it'll always be a difficult thing to confront people, you know?
100%.
And it never feels good to be confronted.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, you have to make a decision. Do I care about you enough to tell you this and confront you? Or do I not care and just walk away and just be like, okay, well, you can think whatever you want to in this situation and I'll go about my life, you know?
Right.
It's a decision you have to make, so.
Yeah, you do have to do that. And another thing, I feel like I'm very aware of all the times I've offended people because I'm such a sensitive person that I hate making other people feel terrible. You know, like that's never my goal and it's never my intention. And so when I do, unless it's for change, unless I'm like offending someone, I think you can, like, for a lot of, especially with white straight people, I feel like when you offend them, you're like expanding their mind to a pain that they didn't realize existed.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. I'm with you.
Have you ever done that?
Have I ever offended someone to experience
for good,
the pain?
For them to like open up, like just to expand? Because I think that for example, with the Kathy Griffin photo, it opened an entire dialogue about free speech and about what photos you can take or what, you know.
But do you think we didn't know that before this happened?
I think our dialogue about it became more nuanced. For example, like someone brought up the point that we've assassinated Kim Jong-un in our movies, and somehow that's okay, but this is not, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it becomes like, okay, we just have discussions about context and about power dynamics and all these different things that operate with an image like that. And by the way, again, I think it is part of what's so hysterical to me is how a photo, you think of a photo meaning so much and creating such a controversy. Like, how did a photo mean that and create that?
Yeah,
you know?
because I think what happens is I think the baseline principle, right? Like the rule book is one sentence and it says, "Do not offend the people in power," right? And then anybody else you can offend. It's completely fine, you know. So we can talk about Kim Jong Un, right? But we can't talk about Trump. Like that's just, I think, you know.
But we can talk about Trump. You don't think we can?
You know,
he's our president.
No, I think, yeah,
What about with SNL and all of that?
No.
You think like
no. I think we should be able to.
Right.
I don't think that, you know, just like Kathy, she's not going to get away with it. You know, like there are just certain
what
things
do you mean?
that he's trying to destroy her.
Right. Which is crazy to me.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
is
so
this
I'm
what
saying
you're saying?
is, I'm saying that, you know, because he's in power, he has the ability to destroy her.
Right.
You know?
And I think and I loved what she said in her press conference, which I thought she gave an awesome press conference about it. And just like, you know, today it's me, tomorrow it could be you.
Yeah.
You know, I think people think she has power because she's a comedian and a celebrity.
And she's on TV, yeah.
But she doesn't have a Secret Service agency. She doesn't have like, you know, the
Department of Defense.
She doesn't have all of the resources that he does. So it really is kind of crazy that this is the first president in history to go after an individual.
Well, he's got a lot of firsts, but
you can say,
you know,
that
I
again.
mean, yeah, Kofefe.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, like, and that's the thing is like now I'm learning. I in my head I like to believe that people are waking up and they're seeing what we're seeing.
Maybe.
But really, I'm afraid that people are sticking their heads in the sand.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think you have to offend them and like wake them up and be like, yeah, if you're sticking your head in the sand, I'm gonna question your character.
Yeah. See, I'm just a different person. I just feel.
I know, that's why I want you on here to disagree with me.
Because I just feel like now if I'm trying to offend you, I'm now wasting my time because I know you're not going to respond to me. Like I know that you're not going to change. Like you're going to continue to support him. You're going to continue to stick in your, you know, like have your thoughts about a certain situation. And now I feel like it's pointless. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I also think like, you know, there's I've been reading all kinds of articles about how like, you know, how democracy can fall. And a lot of the articles are about how you can take the small kind of tough steps now, or if you don't take those steps, they're only going to get more difficult as it goes down the road. Yeah. So I keep that in mind with like whenever I'm like, oh, I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to say this to this person. I don't want to deal with it. But then it's like you have to. Because if you don't wake them up, then they're going to be that much more in denial, and they'll, who knows? I mean, this is a slippery slope argument, but and this is total fallacy.
I
here.
agree that,
but then they're going to be throwing people in concentration camps.
Oh God.
And for real, and you're going to be like, hey, how did we get to the? And you're trying to convince them that the concentration camp is a bad idea.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, but we're protecting our families.
The frog in hot water.
You know what I mean?
I agree with that on a personal level, right? Like on a friendship level, on a, you know, a personal level, right? You kind of confront issues that are directly affecting you. I think, but on a broader scale or a governmental scale, like I'm just not sure how to affect change, you know, as an individual.
Right.
With, say, politics, right? Like, I don't necessarily, I think comedians are great. I think SNL is great. you know, all these editorials are great, but I think at the base of it, what needs to change is the infrastructure of the government. And how do you do that? You know, like, how do we start electing officials that are more representative of the population? You know, like, how do we change the way the Electoral College represents, you know, is connect, you know, so that's kind of where I would be thinking the true change would be coming from versus, you know, although I love the commentary. I mean, I think it's great, right? And I think it's good to get lay people understanding like, hey, this is not okay. But then you have to then empower those people to actually make decisions, you know? And so until that happens, there's always going to be this, you know, the elites are always going to be like, oh, yeah, they can say whatever they want to say, you know, until one of them has enough power to actually do something, you know, it's not going to change. The system's not going to change, you know?
Right.
So.
Right. All right, so we're going to jump over to obsessions.
Oh, my goodness.
Was
that 30?
That was something.
25.
25. Yeah. So obsessions for our new viewers who are just tuning in. This is something that brings you pure joy. Oh my God, that got so heavy, that discussion. Yeah. So this is something to lift us up out of that. To hopefully make you like us again, because you're probably pissed off as hell right now. So does anyone, and I'm throwing AJ in here too. Does anyone want to start?
AJ?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
So after that joyous romp,
No.
my obsession, I guess, is resin painting.
Okay.
I just recently started doing it. So it's like resin is like you use it as an epoxy, or it's like what you use to like coat a table or a chair or a painting to make it shine and protect it. What you can do is actually add pigment to it and then mix them together to make really cool paintings. And I just started doing it, and it's awesome, and I love it.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
It's something, it's like way more accessible than like painting real things, you know?
Yeah,
because I do not have the finesse or artistic ability. Not to say that resin painters don't have artistic ability. It's like it's just a different class of skills, I guess, and style. Absolutely, it's way more abstract, but they look really cool. So
that's awesome.
What about you, Alex?
My obsession, oh my God. So I was like, I don't think I have any. But then now I've got 20.
Okay.
My obsession is my friend let me try on his Converse heels.
Oh my goodness.
Like sneaker heels.
I never know where you're going.
No, I know. I had no idea I was going to go here too. I am obsessed with them.
Really?
And heels in general. Like, you can dance so much better in them.
My gosh.
You can get down so low. I had no idea.
Oh my goodness. I think that they're horrible to dance in.
No. Not these shoes weren't. Like you just cuz your weight is being pushed forward, so you are able to go you're just able to drop. You're just able to drop. Yeah, and just like the way it makes your legs look, the power you feel by being taller.
You are so gay, Alex.
I became so gay. I am. I know. I became so gay. Oh my goodness! But I love
your calves don't hurt.
I mean, they do, but in a good way.
Oh my!
In a good way. And also, I'll say this. I love the Converse sneaker heel. Or pump, I guess, because it still looks kind of masculine. It still could be masculine. Sorry, it doesn't look entirely masculine. But
you say a pump and masculine.
Yeah. Well, apparently heels were originally designed for men. Is something I found out, but I don't know the accuracy of that, so I have not fact checked it.
No, I think that's true. I think I had also heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was designed for short men to be more, have more stature and have more, prominence.
Asian men?
No, Danielle, now you've gone and offended people.
I know.
Oh
I knew it was going to happen.
A full circle. On average, people in Asia are shorter.
Yes. Okay.
Except for who's the basketball player who's like
Yao Ming?
Yao Ming.
Oh yeah.
He's so tall. And tall
job,
Asian
AJ.
people do exist.
AJ was waiting for
He was
it.
ready. Okay, what's your obsession?
Okay, so I stole a pair of jeans from my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm the fashionista, listen,
Oh my
I
This is going downhill fast. Okay.
I would wear the same thing every day if I could, but
Mm,
I know I have to shower, right? I know I have to
you
clean,
do.
and so, but I have this favorite pair of jeans, and I wear them all the time. I would have worn them today, but these were my old favorite
What
jeans.
brand are they? Do you know?
Ooh,
Ooh.
I
No?
don't.
Okay. That's
I
fine.
don't.
That's fine.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But they kind of have some rips in them. You know, they're kind of
Cool.
little loose, but not too loose.
Mm-hmm.
And I wear them with everything.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
That's hot.
So I'm obsessed with my jeans.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, you guys, for tuning in. If you have questions or comments, which
Hopefully we've
I'm
offended
sure you
you
do.
enough to respond.
I know. So you can call us at 323-642-7905. Once again, that's 323-642-7905. Let us know like what you do when you're offended, if we've offended you, how to better go about
Offending people.
offending people. What's the most productive way to offend people? I think that's what we were really trying to get at. Anyways, and just remember that if we're probably not smart enough to have, well, we are.
But
we
we're
are
smart enough to have a conversation.
Yeah, but we're smart enough to have a conversation about it. Bye. Thank you.
All right.